Welcome to Drovers TV. I'm John Hamilton.
And I'm Terry Apostle. Drovers TV is the latest offering from Drovers, America's beef business source.
Thanks for joining us. If this is your first time tuning in, you can expect the latest cattle industry news covering everything from food and consumer to ranch management.
Here's what you'll see coming up on today's show.
We talk trends in genetic selection with seedstock producer Lee Leachman.
Dr. Dan Moser tells us about K-State's seedstock program and sale.
And it's that time of year. We find out more about the importance of spring parasite control.
You can say Lee Leachman knows a thing or two about ranch management. He manages Leachman Cattle of Colorado, a large seed stock production and bull test operation near Wellington, Colorado. Here, Lee discusses selection trends with John Madej.
You know, before even talking about the genetics, we can talk about the selection direction. And if we look back in history, we started out visually selecting cattle, and then we started weighing and measuring cattle. And really today now, instead of us talking about a particular trait like a weaning weight or a marbling level or a calving ease, you know, I think more and more of our customers, they want the bottom line. They want to know how those genetics are going to impact their profitability. And we can actually measure that, and we can predict that, and there are big differences between animals. And so I think the future of beef cattle genetic selection is really selecting for that bottom line impact.
Lee says in some cases, selection focused on producing calves with high growth rates and heavy yearling weights has resulted in cows that are too big and inefficient.
Cow-calf producer has to be concerned with the efficiency of that factory, that cow. You know, how long is she going to live? How is she going to reproduce? How much feed is she going to eat? And how much production is she going to generate? And I think that you know, we've been in a stage where we've been selecting cattle to be bigger and bigger and grow faster and faster. In some cases, the cows that resulted from that selection were really not optimal.
Lee also says individual feed intake testing at the Wellington facility has shown large variation in how much feed cattle need to eat to gain each pound of weight.
Those cows out there that are these big capacity, big bellied cows, maybe they're eating too much. And I think as we measure that trait, we're starting to see huge variation in the cattle. Some cattle eat a ton of feed, a lot of other cattle eat less feed and gain the same. And so why not try to produce cattle that eat less and grow more? Instead of performance right now, we need to be looking at efficiency. We need to find cattle that use those expensive resources most efficiently. And those are the animals that are going to make the most money.
Hereford cattle have a long tradition in America. That's why the American Hereford Association in Kansas City is investing in several programs to help quantify the value of Hereford genetics. Craig Huffines, Executive Vice President of the organization, recently gave Drovers editor Greg Henderson an update.
We've invested a lot of energy and finances in breed improvement over the last 10-15 years to make great strides in performance. Cow longevity. We've taken care of some issues with our breed that probably historically have been problems. We worked our way through that. In recent years, we've been attempting to quantify the value of Hereford genetics used on the predominantly black cow herd out in the country. And so a lot of that heterosis research has been very revealing. We've kind of unearthed some of the knowledge we've known in the past, that you cross these cattle together, Hereford and Angus, you get quite a boost in performance, profitability, and of course a really super cow.
On top of programs focusing on the value of live cattle, the Hereford Association also supports Hereford products at the retail level, such as certified Hereford beef. Craig tells us about a new certified Hereford beef product to be launched this spring, aimed specifically at Hispanic consumers.
So we've started focusing on different lines of products that are value added, convenient, and inexpensive using chuck and round cuts. We've come out with several Hispanic brand labels. Our Nuestra Rancho brand, which is a certified Hereford beef product in a new branded format, is being rolled out this spring. That's a marinated line of fajita meat, carne asada, and we're really trying to target specifically the Hispanic market, which are primary protein beef eaters.
Students are getting a unique hands-on learning experience in classes such as livestock sales management at Kansas State University. Each year, the students engineer the Legacy Bull and Female sale, where Angus, Hereford, and Simmental bulls from the KSU purebred herd are auctioned. Overseeing it all is Associate Professor Dan Moser, who chatted with Greg at the university's Cattlemen's Day before the sale.
We've got a really good offering of Angus, Simmental, and Hereford bulls, selling about 70 bulls in the sale, bulls with out of some of the best proven AI sires in all three of those breeds.
And as I understand, the students work exclusively putting on the sale, correct?
Absolutely. We have enrolled in the bull sale class this semester about 35 students, mostly animal science majors from about 10 different states that are K-State students, and they've been highly involved from the beginning. Things like planning our advertising campaign, selecting the bulls for the sale, putting the catalog together. They'll be busy today with everything from working with settlement and getting the bulls through the ring.
Professor Moser says this year's legacy sale was excellent, with cattle being sold into 5 states. 29 Angus bulls sold for an average of a little more than $3,100. 13 Hereford bulls went for around $2,700, and 20 Simmental bulls brought an average price of just over $2,000. The top-selling bull was an Angus that saw a final bid of $7,300.
You can't control the weather, and unfortunately, bad weather can wreak havoc with your herd. Tom Craig is a veterinarian with Texas A&M University, and one of his specialties is cattle parasites. He says dry weather in the Southern Plains region in recent years actually increased the effects of parasites in some cases.
Last year was a very, very dry summer, and the normal thought is there won't be any parasites. However, when the autumn rains occurred, we started seeing disease that we hadn't seen in a long time. And I think this had a lot to do with the level of parasitism that animals pick up even during dry conditions, plus the very, very poor availability of good forage.
Dr. Craig says although cases of disease from internal parasite infections are uncommon, the less obvious effects are economically damaging in cow herds.
The main thing that happens with osteotagy is that even with a relatively small number of worms, it causes a lack of appetite by the cows. And if the cows don't take in enough forage, they're not going to produce milk. They're not going to have the body condition score that they need to rebreed on a regular basis. And so it's indirect effects.
He adds this is the time, especially for producers in the southern half of the United States, to treat their cows with a proven product to control internal parasites.
Deworming cattle with a product that either has a residual effect or has an effect against those arrested larvae, or both, as we enter the summer is very, very important. And we get bang for the buck by doing it at that time.
Some great information there.
Absolutely. Now, if you have some interesting information or a story idea that you'd like to share, feel free to leave a comment right below this player. You might see it on Drovers TV.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks with more of the industry information you need. Until then, take care.